I'm back with Naja News, and we're still talking about the developing story surrounding the 31-year-old mother that was gunned down in Chicago, Romeca Meeks. Internet speculation has gone so many directions. Is Carlos to blame? Was Romeca to blame? Is Holly the lone offender? Did Carlos and Holly conspire to back Romeca into a corner? Since the last time I reported on this story, we've gotten confirmation of Holly's actual name. Her name is Quadajah Holly Johnson. And while the source that we spoke to alleges that there was some sort of love triangle still happening, what we do know is that on February 20th, 2025, Carlos announced the birth of his son with Holly, baby Carson. Less than 2 months later, he posted a picture wishing Holly, a very pregnant Holly, a happy birthday. Also, it's public knowledge that Holly and Romeca would trade blows back and forth online. And while the source that we spoke with a few days back alleges that these two ladies had actually never had a physical confrontation before, there are some reports that say different. It's hard not to speculate in this case, and it's also very difficult not to take sides. Because just like you, I've listened to the entirety of the witness statement. While her name is unknown, her voice is very recognizable from that viral video on the day that Romeca was killed. So if this was the same person, we know that she was actually on the scene and she was one of the first people to call 911. Since this video, I required audio from two separate eyewitnesses that were also on the scene. Just like this eyewitness that we're about to listen to, none of them were there before the altercation happened. So while we verify the validity of the two eyewitness audio tapes that we've exclusively acquired, here's what that particular eyewitness had to say.
I was actually the one at the scene. So I was the one that was yelling out to arrest her because everybody wasn't doing anything. I was actually the one who called the cops first. And I saw them when they were fighting in the beginning. And I was like, this is not right. He was slamming her with a door when she was standing in her door frame, not even close to the female on the other side. So she was literally standing on the other side of the road, and her baby daddy was literally slamming the door on her back. So she went back into her car, came back out, and then this was when the baby daddy walked towards the other baby mama. After this happened, he grabbed her by the waist. She tried to wiggle away from him. Her arm was like literally almost getting free with his arm around her neck this time, because he was holding her by the waist in the beginning and she wiggled out. um After this happened, he had her in the, like, almost looking like a headlock to me on the side, and then the other baby mama stated, "I'm gonna shoot you, bitch. Watch me shoot you, bitch." And he stated, "Oh, she's gonna go get her gun. She's gonna go get her gun. Watch." And after this happened, she ran to the passenger side of her vehicle, grabbed her gun, went around, and when the woman, the mother, who slipped away from him for at least like maybe a good second, as soon as she slipped away, she shot her. And she shot her in the face, on her side, and in her thigh. And I saw him like holding her for a split second. Maybe he was in shock. This supposedly was your first baby mama, because when I was on the bus, I heard him and her screaming, and she was literally saying, she was like, "I just dropped off my fucking baby. What? I just dropped off my fucking baby. Are you guys kidding me?" As soon as I got off the 21 bus. And trust me, they got it. You know what I mean? She says she dropped her baby off, and you don't know who she is. You know what I mean? And I was like, arrest her. She needs to get arrested. You know what I mean? They weren't even thinking. There was another black female cop who came up, and a Mexican short cop. And I pointed out, I was like, the gun's in her car. The gun's in the car. Why wouldn't you give him the gun if supposedly this was, a self-defense? You know what I mean? If it was hey, here's the gun. This is what happened. It was no self-defense. I swear to you, it did not look like no self-defense. It looked like you shot her because you were just angry or something. You know what I mean? And to me, when she shot her, it wasn't it. The female that got shot, she wasn't with any gun. She didn't have no weapon, no knives, no nothing. So what was it that frightened you so much? You had to run around your car, go into your passenger seat or whatever the case is, and you reached in to get your gun and shoot this woman. So to me, it was a senseless. They were arguing because she was pulling up, and I guess they ended up parking. Why was her car parked on the sidewalk? Because I seen she ran towards the sidewalk to get her gun, and it was a small black vehicle, and he had a black truck, I think. And literally, he came out of his truck looking like real, like he wasn't like on anything but being like mischievous, like nothing but like what was like he was planning something, you know what I mean? And I called the cops on the first time I called the cops, it was because he was attacking her, you know, and the other girl was just yelling at her and she was arguing back. So there was nothing going on for her to be like, oh, I'm gonna step back over here to go get my gun, you know. She was nowhere near her.
How do we get from Carlos announcing his son, baby Carson's birth on February 20th to him wishing Holly a happy birthday April 7th, and then just a few months later, her taking Romeca's life? I hesitate to speak prematurely, and I do pride myself in full transparency in my investigative journalism, so it might take me a bit longer to release these other two audio files from witnesses. I'd also like to share a heartfelt plea that Romeca's cousin, her Facebook name is Jalisa No, posted just a couple of hours ago. She's making an urgent request to the state's attorney, Eileen O'Neill Burke, reinvestigation and charging review in the homicide of Romeca Meeks. I'm going to read a bit of her letter, but if you'd like to read the entire thing, then I'll be sharing a link down in the description box. And for those of you that would also like to reach out to the state's attorney, Jalissa has shared the email and the phone number, which I'll also be sharing in the description box below. Romeca's cousin writes, Dear State's Attorney O'Neill Burke, I'm writing to urgently request a comprehensive reinvestigation and charging review of the homicide of Romeca Meeks, who was fatally shot on September 8th, 2025, outside her child's school. The shooter, Holly Johnson, also known as Quadajah Johnson, was released the same day of the homicide after claiming self-defense as a concealed carry license holder. The same day release occurred despite serious evidence that this was a premeditated, coordinated act of violence orchestrated by Johnson and her boyfriend, Carlos Way, the victim's child's father. Johnson's self-defense claim is directly contradicted by physical evidence, eyewitness testimony, and a sequence of events leading up to the shooting. Jalissa goes on to give some key facts requiring immediate review. Number 1, the shooting in a school zone with children present. She alleges that the shooting occurred directly outside the victim's child's school during school hours. Next, she says the victim's child was not present. Other children were arriving late to school because the school day starts at 8:30. She says the shooting occurred at approximately 9:06 a.m., meaning there were children and families still outside or near the school entrance. Holly Johnson has no school-age children, raising serious questions about her presence at the location during the school drop-off hours. She says that there's a need for a complete timeline reconstruction to fully understand the deliberate planning and sequence of events, and the family is requesting that the office of the attorney create a precise timeline of every action by Holly Johnson, Carlos Way, and others between 8 a.m. and the moment of the shooting at 9:06 a.m. This should include video footage, phone calls, text messages, and witness accounts showing their movements and interaction minute by minute. She says that Carlos drove Johnson to the school despite knowing tensions were high, deliberately creating an encounter with the victim. She also says if Johnson truly feared for her safety, she had time to flee the scene or call 911. Instead, she chose to run and retrieve a gun, proving intent to escalate rather than avoid violence. She also goes on to give a list of applicable charges, specific investigative actions required, and a few more requests from the family. Again, if you'd like to read the entire statement, it will be in the description box below. I'd like to close on this. Cases like this happen every single day, unfortunately. Yes, this country absolutely needs gun reform laws. But think of how many unnecessary deaths and acts of violence occur because human beings cannot control their egos and their impulses. As a matter of fact, most of the private citizens that carry guns should not have access to a deadly weapon. On that particular day, Holly Johnson was one of them. We've yet to hear from her, so we don't know exactly what type of imminent danger she's claiming to have faced. We don't know if she was actually in fear for her life or her 5-month-old infant's life. But one thing that we know is right now, 2 mothers are not home with their children, and one will never be again. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Naja News, and I'll be back very soon with the exclusive audio from the other eyewitnesses and more updates from this developing story.